Okay, here we go with The Secret School by Avi, Chapter 5. Wednesday afternoon, shortly before 3 o'clock, Miss Fletcher said, "Children, please put away your work." There was a quick rustling of papers and closing of books. Expectant, the children sat back on their benches. Miss Fletcher walked solemnly to the front of her desk. Once there, she clasped her hands. Briefly, she closed her eyes, then opened them. "Children," she began, "as you know, this has been my last day. I just want to say that I have so much enjoyed my 5 years with you. I do hope the school board will make arrangements so your studies can continue next fall. Now, if you treat your next teacher with the same kindness and respect you've shown me, everything will, I'm quite sure, be fine." There was some anxious shifting among the children. The 2 younger ones stole looks at Ida. And Miss Fletcher concluded in a slightly husky voice, that means she's about to cry, "I guess you do know how much I love you." There was a nervous hush. Then Ida stood up. "Miss Fletcher, the class has asked me to say some words." "Well, yes, Ida. Thank you. You may." Ida walked up to the recitation spot. Oh, I've got one of those in my classroom. Recitation rod. In the front of the room. Addressing the teacher, hands clasped together, she began. "Miss Fletcher, we, the pupils of Elk Valley School, wish to thank you for your excellent instruction and generous attention. No matter where we go upon the long road of life, we shall hold you dear in our hearts and memories. By so doing, we shall strive to live by the poem you taught us." Oh, the teacher made him learn a poem. "Do what conscience says is right. Do what reason says is best. Do with all your mind and might. Do your duty and be blessed." Ida unclasped her hands. "Miss Fletcher, we really liked your being our teacher." Ida now turned to Mary Cole, who was seated on the first bench. "Mary?" Mary jumped up, ran to the girl's wardrobe, and returned with a small wicker basket covered with a blue cloth. Bobbing a curtsy, almost breathless with excitement, she presented the basket to the teacher. "We made this up for you," she said. Miss Fletcher, her hands fluttering, uncovered the basket. Inside was a mason jar of jam, a cake, 2 apples, a bag of cookies, plus 2 pencils. "We made everything," Mary exclaimed, "except the pencils. Charlie bought them." Miss Fletcher wiped her eyes with her handkerchief and said, "It's so lovely. I will surely keep the memory of this forever. And I—" From outside came the sharp beep of a car horn. "Oh my," the teacher cried. "It's Mr. Plumstead. He's being kind enough to take me to the train station." The students rushed from their benches. Miss Fletcher, wiping away more tears, hugged the children one by one. When Herbert approached, he held up the switch. Miss Fletcher, taken aback, asked, "What's that for?" Herbert grinned. "Don't you want to give me one more licking for good luck?" Miss Fletcher laughed and hugged him hard. "Herbert Bixler, you are not a bad boy. You're not." "Well," he said, clearly enjoying the hug, "I sure tried." Outside, beep, the horn tooted impatiently. "Felix, go tell Mr. Plumstead I'm coming," Miss Fletcher cried. "Tom, Herbert, be kind enough to carry my trunk to his car. Charlie, my portmanteau is by my desk." Oh, that's a vocabulary word, portmanteau. "Mary, you shall carry my precious basket. Children, have you got your things? You mustn't forget your books and coats. You won't be able to get into school till next fall." In a great flurry, Miss Fletcher locked the door. The children exchanged looks. "Miss Fletcher," Herbert asked, "want me to take care of the key?" "Oh, no, thank you. I'll give it to Mr. Plumstead." The teacher allowed herself to be escorted to the waiting car. Mr. Plumstead, president of the Elk Valley Bank, loaded the luggage into the open rumble seat of his Studebaker, making a great fuss that it was done just right. Then he climbed into the driver's seat and looked at Miss Fletcher expectantly. Miss Fletcher, reluctant to leave, stood before the children. "Oh, I do wish you all the very, very best," she said again. "Work hard and—" "Miss Fletcher," Mr. Plumstead called, "if you're going to catch the train, we're going to have to get moving." Yes, I'm coming." The teacher opened the car door and settled in. "Goodbye, children," she called as Mr. Plumstead put the car into gear and started off. "Goodbye, goodbye," the students shouted. They ran out into the road to watch the car go. Within moments it had disappeared from view, leaving behind only the faint smell of exhaust fumes. Ida turned. The other 7 children were staring at her. "Ida," Susie whispered with alarm, "if the door is locked, how are we ever going to get inside the school?" "I've already thought of that," Ida announced. "Follow me." The children trooped after her until she stopped by a window on the west wall. "Tom, Herbert," she said, "you need to give me a hoist." Vocabulary, hoist. The 2 boys made a stirrup of their hands, and Ida stepped into it. Rising up, she slid open the window and, head first, squirmed inside. Within moments, she reappeared at the window. "Meet me at the door," she called. The children ran around to the front of the schoolhouse. When the door didn't open right away, Herbert banged on it. "Hey, Ida, come on, open up," he called. The door swung in. There stood Ida. The children gasped. She had put up her hair with the pins her mother had given her. "Children," she said in a most prim, teacher-like voice she could manage, "school is closed for the day. It will open in regular at 8:30 sharp tomorrow morning." There was a whoop of laughter. "I'm quite serious," Ida said firmly. "School is dismissed for the day." She closed the door. The children looked at one another, surprised. Gradually, they drifted off, leaving only Felix. Not sure what to do, he sat down on the front steps. The door opened behind him. Ida peeked out. "They all gone?" "I guess you told them to, didn't you?" "Tom, too?" "Yeah." Ida stepped off the porch. "Come on. Guess if we're going to get home, we're going to have to crank up the car ourselves." As they walked toward the car, Felix looked up at his sister. "Ida?" "What?" "I like your hair better down." "Well, you better get used to it," Ida said. "It's going to stay up." And that's the end of chapter 5.